Well, hello again, everyone. Dr. Lisa Faast here with Diversify RX, and we are going to do another website review. So in case you maybe didn't see the first one, I posted on social media with pharmacy owners on if they wanted me to review their website and give some feedback. And we had a ton of responses. So I just kind of went through and grabbed some, and we're going to do a few of these because after a while, that's probably going to get redundant. But I want to help yourself have a better website or be able to talk more intelligently with whoever you've hired to do your website. And so one of my favorite website people I've invited on to do these with me. So I have AJ from Drugstore2Door, and we've done one already. This will be our second one that we do. But AJ, really quick, for somebody who doesn't know what Drugstore2Door is or who you are, go ahead and give yourself a brief introduction so they know who you are.
Yeah, you bet. So I'm AJ Asgary. I'm actually a pharmacist as well, multi-pharmacy owner in the Midwest. And I'm the CEO and founder of Drugstore2Door. And we build revenue-generating websites for independent pharmacies. And we're really focused on not only the visual appeal of the website, but also putting all of the engines in the back in a turnkey fashion so that these pharmacies can sell OTCs, sell prescriptions, and utilize all of the booking services all in one place, and that being their personal website.
Yeah, so what we're going to do today, just to set it up for you, is we're going to look at a website and give our first impression opinions. We did not look at this before. We haven't gone through it before. All I've done is load the website. And this is basically maybe what's going through your patient's head as they look at it. So AJ is going to be a little more technical. I'll be a little less technical, but we're going to hopefully give some insights that maybe you can take and go look at your own website and maybe ask some of those same questions that we're asking of the website. So let me go ahead and share my screen and let's get started. All right. So we are going to do Asheville Mountain Pharmacy up next here. And the first thing I like to do is go get some page speed insights. And the reason that we do this, and I'm going to share the website with you, is this is Google's own website for basically grading your website. So I'm going to delete the first one we did. I'm going to add in the second one. And it's really important that you know how Google is grading your website, because Google is basically the gateholder of showing your pharmacy in any searches. And we know that Google is the most used search engine, especially when people are traveling around and they're like, hey, where can I find a pharmacy near me? They're generally going to go to Google and check that out. So it's really important that you know how Google is seeing your website. So what this does is it gives you that insight. Now you can, your person who did your website, they should be doing this and they should be reporting it to you. If you did your own website, grab some templates or things like that, then you might want to dig in, or you might want to hire somebody to help you to get these to green. It's really important that you get green. They use a red, yellow, green system. So on this particular one for Asheville, we're on the mobile first. So it kind of defaults to mobile since, I forget the statistics now, but it's like 70% of website visits are from mobile. The performance is 61. And it's always speed of some sort here, but you can even expand a view, which kind of tells you a little bit of a detail. So this time to interactive, you're like, what the heck is that? So time it takes the page to be fully interactive. So that basically means how long it took to fully load, is kind of another way of looking at that. This one down here, largest paint marks the time at which the largest text or image is painted. And what that means is just it's on the website. So it's all usually, if you get docked, it's usually has to do with speed. And a lot of us forget to really kind of check mobile. I think it's really important. You all know your patients, they're checking things out on mobile. People are sitting in bed at night, looking up different things. And so chances are they're on their mobile phone when they're looking at things. So this one's a 61. Not entirely too terrible, definitely not in the red, but there's probably some just little tweaks and things that you can do. And AJ, I know a lot of times it's just optimizing the size of things. Like, what else do you do to help speed up a page?
Yeah, it depends on how much stuff is built into your page. But with basic websites, a lot of the time it's without getting too technical, it's the CSS. It's some of the ways that the images are overlaying, or what you're blocking or what you're not blocking, and how much is loading in the background versus the foreground. And so there are ways, like you see with this site, the desktop is performing really quickly. I imagine there's a lot of hidden things that created the mobile view. And so for the mobile to go through processing all of that stuff, whether it's seen or it's not seen, is slowing some things down.
Yeah. So their desktop is completely in the green. There's one little thing in the yellow. And that might be something that they just might need to optimize a photo or something like that. But otherwise they're fully in the green, which is fantastic. That means, Google's given its own thumbs up. So let's go ahead and switch on over. And just in case the website right up here, it's pagespeed.web.dev, DEV. You can actually go to Google and type in like page speed, and it's one of the first ones to come up. And this is actually from Google. So let's head over to the main website. So this is the home page. So if somebody just puts in your website with no, slashes at the end, this is your main home page that shows up. And so some of my first impressions, I love that the phone numbers are right up here. They look to be clickable.
They're clickable. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like the address is right there. The only thing maybe missing right up top here is the hours. Since you are a brick and mortar business, and generally people, need to go to you to pick up prescriptions and other things like that, your hours of business might be really helpful up there. This green is a little offensive to my eyes. It's a little bright. Maybe, if I were to pick a green, and sometimes it's also the way it shows up on screens. That's a big thing I will say about colors. How it looks to you could look different to me just because of our own, the computer we're using, the resolution, the display, our personal settings, all those kinds of things. So to me, this is just a little too far on the neon side. I'd probably have dialed it back just a little bit more. Obviously, you're playing into the mountain, the green, which is all good. Green is a great pharmacy color, usually means like wellness and health and those kinds of things. But for me, it's just a little too neon. However, I like it for the buttons. I like the green for the buttons because it makes them well seen, makes me look at them. I like how they change colors upon hover. That's one of my favorite things that I like. And so I really like the very top up here. So anything you got to add up there on the very top?
No, I know sometimes with logo creation, if we're creating it ourselves, it can, we can get a little too deep in the weeds and not be thinking about it from what colors are going to get the branding or the message across. There are a lot of resources out there that you can use. Fiverr's one of those, and you can go have people bid out actually working on your logos and stuff. So if you're not married to that color, you could have somebody with some expertise for literally next to nothing, give you a handful of design options or color options that could change that. But as far as overall layout up top, the thing I'll say is the address is super small. If you're going to give me the address, I would really blow that up. I would also blow up the hours. I do love that you can click and text. Like, those are fantastic. The last site didn't have the ability to actually click those and do something. So the fact that you can is fantastic. And then I know you're going to go into this, Lisa, but man, there's so much real estate that just hurts my heart to sit here. And it's a beautiful picture, but there's so much real estate not being utilized here.
Yeah. And just on that note, so AJ mentioned Fiverr, and just so you know, Fiverr is with 2 R's at the end. One of my favorite websites for like bidding out for logos or graphic design is 99 Designs.
That's another one.
And they do that because it's $99 is like the basic thing to bid. But all of my major graphic things I have done through 99 Designs, and I've been completely happy, and I've used them for years. So that's another option besides Fiverr. Fiverr is a place where a bunch of freelancers work and that kind of stuff. So they're both very similar in that aspect, but just it's Fiverr with 2 R's and 99designs.com are the two that I've used and I would recommend. So so when you first land on a website, the first thing that you see without touching or moving is what's generally called the hero or the above the fold, and it is your most valuable real estate. If you think about it, this is your oceanfront property. This is your Beverly Hills on a cliff with the best view, type of thing, property. And so this is the area where you want to tell people exactly what you want them to do. When somebody goes to your website, if you're sitting there just hoping that they do something, what is that thing that you're hoping that they do? Are you hoping that they give you a call? Are you hoping that they fill out a new patient form? Are you hoping that they book for a COVID test? Are you hoping they, book for a foot detox? Whatever types of services that you're offering, what is that number one very thing that you hope they do? And that is what you want on this real estate right here. So as AJ said, it's a beautiful photo. I think it's very probably invoking a lot of the feelings that you're trying to do with your brand and stuff, which you can have the photo in the background. There's starting to be some overlay down here at the bottom, but there needs to be like, do this, like right here. Like there's just a lot of place for you to tell people, you're a new pharmacy, which can be good and can be bad. Sometimes new people think, oh, they don't really know what they're doing. And sometimes new is like, great, I'm so tired of the old guys. I want to come to a new pharmacy. So, you just kind of have to be aware that sometimes people see new in different lights, but we're a new pharmacy. So if you're a new pharmacy, my guess is you want new patients. So I would figure out some place to put here, like, be a patient today at our pharmacy, click here, something like that gets people to actively reach out to you and freely give you their information.
Yeah, you read my mind. I saw that the third option in their menu was new patient, and that screams to me that should be in your hero section. And it needs to be very clear what it means to become a new patient or how to become a new patient. So take some of those things. You're a new pharmacy, you're trying to grow. So whatever your marketing message is, your sales tactics are, be sure that this portion of your website reflects those. And I would assume today it's go get as many freaking patients as I can. And so let's make sure that your site contributes to your effort.
Yeah, I would almost see right here for a new pharmacy, like 3 steps to becoming a new patient at Asheville Pharmacy, and then that's on the left. And then on the right is step 1, this thing, step 2, this thing. And if you don't have 3 steps, then make it 2, then make it 1 step to become a new patient at our pharmacy, but spell it out for them. Tell them exactly what to do, exactly what to expect, and exactly how to do it. And that will probably increase your conversion rate. So in the world of pharmacy, in the world of e-commerce, I'll go back a little bit. In the world of e-commerce, kind of a conversion is when a website visitor goes from being a visitor to a paying customer. And in pharmacy, it's a little bit different, because if your main source of business is prescriptions, you really can't turn a visitor into a paying patient, because there's prescriptions and legal things all in between there. And so sometimes the best conversion that you're hoping for as a pharmacy is somebody is giving you their information. They're saying, I want to be a patient. Now let's go do all the legal things that we need to do in order to make that happen. But you want your website to be helping to convert visitors into patients or into paying customers. And that's where e-commerce comes in. There's so many things that you can sell without a prescription. You can sell OTCs, you can sell some devices, you can sell services, you can get appointments booked. There's a lot of things, but you're looking for that conversion point. And there can be 100 conversion points that you would be happy to have as a pharmacy owner. And I think AJ will agree with this, but especially on your website right here on your hero up top, you should be focusing on your top one. What is the top conversion that you want somebody to do? What is the one thing that you want? Now you can have other conversion opportunities further down on the page, on other pages, but the one showing right here should be your number one priority conversion point. So what is that?
Right. You could probably get away with 1 to 2, but make sure that they are very clear in what you're after. But you start to put too many or try to do everything that you do in the pharmacy, that's where people can go in and dig to learn more. So again, go back if it's new patients or if it's a type of patient or whatever it might be, we're looking for you, right? If this is you, click here, whatever it might be. So there's a lot of ways to really slice that up.
Yep. All right, I'm going to scroll down here a bit. So now we got a picture of the pharmacy, which looks nice and beautiful. And then what makes us different? I like that. It's certainly not bad. What makes us different? Why you should be a patient. Why are you missing out? What are you missing by not being a patient of Asheville? That's basically the answer. Like I mentioned in the last video that your website is kind of like your dating profile. Why do you want somebody to click on you and say, yes, tell me more? And I will say that this block of text, the individual font is probably a little small, especially white font. White font, I always think you have to go a size or two bigger. And it looks like it might be bolded or has a little bit of a heavier weight on the font, which is good. But it also needs to be broken up. Like if you can have the more opportunities, you can use bullet points to really call out what are those things. And instead of what makes us different, let me just throw this out to you as the audience. Does it sound better? 5 things that make us different, 3 things that make us different, 10 things that make us different, instead of just what makes us different, like be a little bolder and a little more specific. And I think that's going to be a little more attention grabbing.
Yeah. Why people choose us.
Yep. I like that one too. Why people choose us. I like that they have the refill and transfer right again. I don't know that you really need the about us right here. Because again, we're trying to get the page. What is the one thing we want people to do? Unless your about us page is flipping amazing. Like, I don't know that we want people to click to the about us. They can always go up here and, find it. But I'm not sure we really need to be like, click me, click here. Yeah. It's the, hey, if you're a current patient, refill your prescription here. If you, want to join the awesome world of Asheville, click here and transfer your prescription. So, and then the last thing I will say is, sometimes the RX, those of us in the business obviously know what RX means, but we have to remember that we're talking to lay people here. And you might be surprised that some of them don't really understand what RX means. And they're like, transfer RX? Like, I don't like transfer your prescriptions. Like, we have to just sometimes bring it down a level and make sure that we know who we're talking to. And they may not have the same jargon knowledge that we do.
Yeah, 100%. We always use prescription verbiage. We never use RX verbiage. It's not clear to everybody. As normal as it seems to us, it is not clear to everybody.
Yeah. Now, I kind of bashed the green on the top of the website, whatnot, but I think on the sign here, it looks beautiful. Like in the photo, like it doesn't, it could just be my display and things like that. But I think the green, looks beautiful. So
yeah, I had the same thought. Like on the building, it looks really nice. So what I'm questioning from a design eye standpoint is if the blue is making the green too harsh on the background. And so if it were sitting on a different background, it may feel more natural. Like, and again, it's just playing with colors. So it's not necessarily changing the logo. It's saying, hey, you've got this color green, you actually need a tan behind it, or you need a beige or whatever it might be. And then the color sits nicely.
Yeah. So then we got our services. Maybe I think a little bit bigger font. This is one of that's a weird photo. I just happened to like notice it. Like, who scrapes pills from the counter into the bottle? Like, I don't know. That's probably some website person like going and looking, for stock photos of pharmacy. So I just had to stop and like point that out. Like, that is the weirdest photo. Like, nobody in pharmacy feels like that.
This is a street dealer move right here.
Yeah, that's like, let me count my pills. Like, I don't know. I might want to change that photo. Of course, somebody on the outside looking in might not even notice it all, but it took me just a second when I looked at it to like, wait a minute, what's happening there? So, details are important, but yeah. So I don't know anybody who scrapes from pills into a bottle, but this is the other thing. So AJ, this leads me to one of my rules about pharmacy websites. You are a real bona fide pharmacy. You should not be using stock photos. I just personally, unless it's something that's faded in the background and you're just trying to like have an image of like bottles on a shelf or something like that. But something like this where you're like, these are our services, show your people, show you, like, you're real human beings in Asheville, like making a difference for people there. Like show you standing behind the counter, show, your real pharmacy, like show you counting pills. Like, I just don't think that in a real pharmacy setting, like have somebody go through and take pictures. I mean, every phone nowadays takes really high resolution photos. You don't need like fancy cameras. But that's just one of my like rules that you really shouldn't use stock photos. There really should be no reason.
I'll give you an amen there. So when we work with sites, we always highly encourage that they just take a bunch of photos and we'll clean them up and make them look beautiful. Or you guys can utilize, there's apps out there that will remove the background and do a bunch of other things. Like there's so many tools now that are incredibly easy to use. Use your own pictures, because if there's a stock photo on your site, I guarantee you within 10 minutes, I can find the same stock photo on somebody else's site. And so in our world, as we're building people's sites, we'll tell them, hey, we will placehold you with stock images, but there are only so many stock images in the world of pills and bottles and scraping them in the bottle or in the tray or whatever it might be. These have to be replaced. And it's amazing how the site changes when you get real people and stuff from the actual pharmacy on the site. It completely changes the vibe of the site, because we want to come here and know that you're a real shop. Like we come here and we know this is a stock photo. You don't have to be a website designer to know that this is a photo I would find if I just went and looked for stock photos. It makes a big difference.
I'm looking at the alternative text. So just FYI, a little bit of marketing geek. So when you have photos on a website, they should have an alternative text that should describe the photo. Ideally, you got some keywords in there. So this says Asheville pharmacist cutting pills. It's like, first of all, they're not cutting pills. Second of all, it's not an Asheville pharmacist, but whoever did the website tried to put in some relevant, words there.
Yeah, counting might be a better word.
Yeah, cutting pills, like we're cutting, like again, like we're not we're sort of drug dealers, but we're the good kind. So
I was gonna say that's got street written all over it. We're cutting it and scraping it into the bottle, so that's awesome.
Yeah. All right. So here's a little bit on their pharmacy app. Get our pharmacy app on your phone today. I would be like, why? Why do I want to get your app on my phone today? How is it going to make my life easier? Save time by getting our app on your phone, like maybe put the benefit, because you do kind of put some benefits down here, manage your family's medication. I don't like the differing capitalization, like there's a capital family and then lowercase and, whatnot. Save money. How am I going to save money with an app? Like, is there special coupons? Is there app only deals? Like, just tell me a little bit more. Like, make me want to get the app where I'm like, yes, I want my app, and, let me go do that. So this is good. And for something like this, I'm fine with a kind of mocked up stock photo. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But just tell me more. Save money with our pharmacy app today, something like that. Like just bring up one of those benefits or whatever the biggest benefit is and put that in the headline, and then tell me just a little bit more, detail out more of those bullet points. You got room here, there's plenty of room for 2 or 3 more bullet points.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I think like the stock photos of the phone where you can put your own imagery inside is great, because it's just another place to display personal images. So if that's your retail app, that's fantastic. The thing I would get nitpicky here on is formatting, padding, like you mentioned, how the verbiage. These are things like you don't think about it, but subconsciously it screams professional, non-professional. So like your app store icon is smaller than your Google Play icon. You have some uppercase, some lowercase, the font colors change, and then there's massive amounts of padding on the left and right side. So those little details can make the difference on this feels like a refined establishment or this feels more piecemeal together. And that's just me being hypercritical. So again, I want to praise everybody who's got a site and who has things and options and resources. Just know that Lisa and I are getting hypercritical to say this is the best of. If we were going to go in and really tear this thing apart, this is the best of, and this is how I would go in and start modifying things right away.
Yeah, no, good point. And this little, it's obviously a frame and
Yeah.
there's an image inside, but it says community RX pharmacy. Like it should be doctored up. Like when a graphic design person does this, it should say Asheville Mountain Pharmacy, or it should take a screenshot from your actual app, and put that screenshot in there. So, to somebody with patients are skeptical, it may seem small, and you're absolutely right, AJ. We are nitpicking here because that's the whole point of this. But it just, those little things might give things. So down to the bottom, if you have any concerns or questions, don't hesitate to contact us. Patient care is always our priority. Just a couple of things that just popped out at me. One, the patient care is always our priority is a little bit hard to read in the font, just the script style. If you have any concerns or questions, like, should I have concerns? Like, it's a common generic platitude, but I think, even directing patients, like if you have questions about becoming a patient, contact us. If you have concerns about side effects of your medications, contact us. Like give them some specific examples. Then it's like any concern, it's like, my bike isn't working, my calling, obviously people aren't going to do that, but I think it helps direct people's brains as they, read it. Contact us. I'm not sure what happens when I click this, but the capitalization just bothers me. Like that's just me. That's just my marketing brain. I would want to see capital C, capital U. Probably
Which
nobody
they did below that. If you look below in the footer, they actually did capital C, capital U.
Yeah. So that's just something for me. One of my pet peeves. You repeat all of your contact information, which I love. And then, you have your Health Mart, which obligation to have that. NCPA here, I'm not sure if anybody outside really understands, but it does give you kind of that like seal of approval look. The only thing that I will say is, because this background here is gray and these logos were on a white background, like whoever did this should have made them transparent and then put them on, or put a white bar across the whole thing. So then they don't look stitched in, because that's what they look like right now, like a little stitched in. And again, that's my hypercritical former marketing CMO brain, like looking at it, is your average patient really going to probably have a problem with that? No, probably not. But that's just something I'm just noticing. So anyways.
No, I would agree. Those little touches make all the difference in the world. I'll just go back to like there's an element here that feels like maybe their design component was missing and actually setting everything up. Again, you can go to a third-party service to get them to go and clean things up or give you mock-ups, and then you can literally copy their mock-up. If somebody built this for you, then I would be questioning the design talent of the builder. But otherwise, like, again, if you go to the top, we've got full width formatting. So from there up, everything's full width formatting. And then all of a sudden we put crazy amounts of padding on the website. And it feels like I'm in a whole different website for the second of the main page.
Yeah.
And then
like this is all like one template and this is something different.
Something different. And then if you look like this picture, so forget what's in the picture, but we did like this elevated picture with shadow behind
shadowing.
it.
Yeah,
but it's a whole different vibe because nothing above that was shadowed pictures with, like, that wasn't the vibe of the site. So why start now? So those are things like, these are design elements, and then, cleaning those up, and then just making sure that whatever your messaging is, you are trying to appeal to somebody to do something. So like the whole concern thing at the bottom, if I'm concerned by the time I get to the bottom of your page, you didn't sell me very well. So this should be like, now that you're exploding with excitement to join us, click here, right? Like this should be the last grab attempt at what you're after. So just make sure like you're selling yourself hard in this. Or if you're going to do a concern in there, does your current pharmacy situation concern you? Let us turn that around, right?
Yep.
Something that's back to you saying, hey, we got this.
we are here to solve your problems. Like that
Yes.
is, yeah, no, I agree. This is very passive, and I've just learned over the years to make it very active. You know, you really want to pursue these people. And again, you tell them exactly what you want to do. So really quick here. So the other thing I was, I kind of got distracted by the picture here at this section, but this learn more, I'm really curious of like what learn more, because learn more is a very kind of passions instructions. Like, why does somebody want to learn more? I use it sometimes. I catch myself using it, and sometimes I'm just like, it's good enough. And then other times I'm like, all right, no, I need to focus and, use something else besides learn more. But I'm going to click on learn more here and see where it takes us.
So that looks like a true in-store picture.
Yes, that does. That's awesome. Which looks beautiful, by the way.
Yeah.
So again, kind of all together bunched up in one paragraph, separate these out. You have your I see you bolding nature's truth, Sundance, pure encapsulations, which is great.
I'm gonna go back to, like, it's driving me crazy. The formatting, the formatting needs to be touched here. I mean, there's no question. So like the paragraph's too high. It should be centered in that block where the conversation is. I'm not sure what the text to the right of our products is, but that's really tiny.
It's a testimonial, and I didn't even notice it. Like, I skipped right over it because my brain just saw too much text. Like, testimonial should be front and center and like catchy, they use the big quote marks or a call out box, like I just skipped right over it.
Yeah. And then if you scroll down, you'll notice the buttons change, the font size changes, the section divider. So again, just formatting is a level of professionalism that shows up. And then you go back to the footer and you're back to the weird padding, right? So we went from full scale first homepage to then tremendous amount of padding to clicking on learn more, back to full scale with formatting issues. And then we get to the bottom and we're back to the padding again, right? So as you go through this site, the cohesiveness feels you lose the professionalism, I think, is what I'm trying to get.
I think from my standpoint, there's nothing that converts the patient. So we talked about in the last one that, your goal of your website should be to take a visitor to your website to on the path to paying you money. Now, sometimes in pharmacy, you can do that by selling something over the counter or selling a product or booking a service on your website. But sometimes if it has to do with prescriptions, you're not necessarily selling them on the website, but you're converting them by having them submit their information. Yes, I'm interested in being a patient. Call me tomorrow, that kind of thing. And going from the learn more button to here, it doesn't really take me further down that path because I still have the same option of contact us that was on the first page. So it didn't take me further down the path. Like, I didn't really learn more. I didn't really get further along to becoming your patient by clicking that button. And so that would just be the way that I'm looking at it, is every click that you want somebody to take should be getting them closer and closer and closer to, marrying you. If your homepage is your dating profile site, the point is to get to the point where they marry you, and every click should kind of bring you closer to that click. So
and my guess is those are going to hyperlink out to a different site if you click them.
No, they
doesn't
click.
even do it. Same inside. Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to rapid click some of these.
Yeah, I was wondering if they.
I love pure encapsulations. So I mean, hey, that's good. The only thing is, like, pure encapsulations, like, I love pure encapsulations because I'm a pharmacist. I'm a pharmacy owner. I know about pure encapsulations, but why would somebody care that you carry pure encapsulations? What is awesome about, pure encapsulations? Like, you have to tell these people, they may not know what, yes, there might be some, hyper educated, consumer that is like, I know that this is a good brand, but you kind of have to, tell them a little bit, like right up front, make, again, bigger font, say the most important things first. I'm going to go back.
Yeah, another great place just to at least have a semi small catalog of just items and pictures or categories of products. So if it's pure encapsulation or metagenics or whoever it might be, you actually know what product lines are in the store. Whether I can buy them online or not buy them online makes no difference, but I can at least see that you have these types of products in your store.
I like the contact us page. You re-puts all that information. I love a form where I can submit information. As a person, I'm probably more likely to submit an online question than to call the pharmacy. That's just usually because I'm busy and I'm multitasking and doing different things. So I like that. I like that you even put your email address here. So I like all the different ways that they've provided to contact them,
and just as the phone numbers are clickable, you can make your email address clickable as well. So it opens up your.
It does. It is.
Yeah. So underline it. You just need to underline it.
Underline it so it's clickable. Yep.
Yep.
These phone numbers aren't clickable, but they were up here.
Yeah. Stay consistent.
Yeah. So these ones aren't, but yeah. So I mean, this is a fine contact us page, but they already know they clicked it on contact us. We can't wait to be your pharmacy, or we're so looking forward to talking to you. Like, just change the language and up a little bit, show a little bit of your personality. I think maybe that's probably the best thing is your website should show your personality, especially you as the owner. I know the owner of this pharmacy, like he's got a really great personality. Like, just show that. Like, I say howdy, like that's my word. So I use that. Obviously, if howdy isn't your word, then don't use it. But, use whatever it is you would do, can't wait to see you. I look forward to seeing you, like whatever that is, like just use a little bit of your own vernacular. Don't be afraid to show your personality.
For sure.
So, alrighty, I think that's about it. Oh, I wanted to click on new patient. What happens?
Yeah, I was curious.
New patient.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Okay, new patients.
Look at that. 3 ways to become a new patient. So they put it here, buried deep into the new patient realm.
Man, that should be on the front, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If this is your main objective and that transfer prescription, that should all be that hero section.
Yeah. I mean, even if just this right here, like this little, if that was on the front hero, even if it was overlaid, that mountain can kind of be like that unfocused background image. And then that was just put right on top of it. That would be I bet you'd get 10 times the conversions from just that being on the front.
Yeah, there's no way someone's going to dig in this far because nothing told me to do that when I first hit this site. So this definitely should be pulled out to the front.
Yep. And then it right here is a transfer form. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Just pull
something I would think about. I saw that last section that says list your medication names. I would ask for as little as you possibly need from these patients. That's overkill. Give me your first name, last name, your phone number, and the pharmacy you fill at, and tell me if you want all your stuff or one thing in particular, and I'll do the rest of the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah.
That way they're not, because I may come to this and go, all my bottles are in the cabinet and there's like 15 of them, right? And that's the patient you want. And I'm going, I'm not typing 15 meds in. I'll just stay where I'm at. Right.
I agree that, yep. The least amount of work you can have somebody do, the better off, the more likely they're going to complete what you're asking them to do. So first name, last name, a lot of times you need date of birth, when you call another pharmacy, but yeah, click, almost make them buttons, your entire profile or just, these specific requests, and then they can fill in just those specific requests.
Yep.
Yeah. Good one. All righty. Well, that will be it for this one. So thank you so much, AJ. And again, we are nitpicking because that's kind of what this is about. Overall, this is a very nice feeling pharmacy. Like, it feels happy. It feels good. It doesn't feel dated. It's not cluttered or those kinds of things. We're just really looking for optimization to help your website make you more money. And so really that's the angle that we're coming from. So, you're watching this, you're following me, and you probably know how to contact me. My email's info@diversifyrx.com. But AJ, they may not know how to contact you. How can they contact you?
Yeah, you bet. My email is aja@drugstore2door.com. or you can find me on social using that same tag, Drugstore2Door anywhere, or Drugstore2Door.com. So we're pretty out there.
All right. Well, we will post that information below, and AJ and A might get back together, and we do this more on a couple of more pharmacies. We just want to give you some good examples and help yourself by maybe evaluating your own website. So thank you so much for the pharmacies that volunteered to do this. That is not easy. So thank you very much. And hopefully you get something out of this personally, because it's your website. And then for everybody else, hopefully you learn some general rules that, we all should kind of live by on our website. So thank you, AJ. Look forward to doing this again.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.